What is up, watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris watch shop, and today I'll be talking about the rise, fall, and future of my favorite brand, Cartier. Boom, watch fam. Today I'm wearing a watch that I consider myself extremely lucky to be in the presence of. This is a Cartier Crash. This model was manufactured in 1991 in limited edition. The original Crash was introduced in 1967, and its inception and entire story is quite confusing and really, I think, in its essence, quite beautiful. This was, one of the first watches that I looked at and just couldn't understand. It was so unconventional, right? I mean, and I'm sure some people that are seeing that watch for the first time right now feel the same way. It's bizarre, right? This watch, almost more than almost any watch, reminds you that watches can be art, and this watch is, in my opinion, more art. And I actually received this watch the same day that Cartier's newest 2020 releases were introduced. Cartier released Asymetrique, they released a Pasha, among a few other watches, and it gave me the opportunity for the first time in a while to really step back and look at the entire Cartier collection. Because I'm so focused both in my business as the curator of the shop and in my extracurricular time on vintage Cartier, it's not often that I really inspect and analyze the new collection. I did that a couple of months ago with our friends over at London Jewelers. I went into the collection and did a bit of an analysis, and a few things are certain. Right? Foremost, that Cartier has done a really great job at preserving the integrity of their iconic designs. Their Tank Louis today is very close and respectful to what the watch was born as about 100 years ago. And I can say nearly the same thing about many of their watches. The Panthère, the Cintree. Cartier has stayed very close to their roots, and they've done those roots justice. They haven't, unlike other brands out there, perverted their incredible, original, iconic designs. Another thing that's clear, the quality of Cartier watches is impressive. Their attention to detail today actually in many ways surpasses that of traditional Cartier, specifically some of their guilloche dials and movements. But here's where things go awry. Cartier no longer practices exactly what made them so successful to begin with. What made the brand so important, impressive, prestigious, iconic was that Cartier unwaveringly reacted to the world around it in its own language. The Normal, the Cintree, the Juste un Clou, the Chinois, the Ecru, to name a few, were traditional and innovative products. Cartier was a home of true artistry. That's what made them Cartier. So to see them lose that, lose the skills that made them a world power to begin with, sucks. So what do I mean? Well, take a look at some of their most notable releases of the recent past. Asymetrique, Pasha, Cintree, Santos Dumont, and Theo haven't been original or innovative at all. They're reissues. And I'll get more into reissues and the problem that they present in just a minute. But before I do, I'd like to make it clear that I don't have bad intentions here, right? I want to give credit where credit is due to Cartier. Their Santos de Cartier was a very fresh, new, very 21st century take on a classic piece. And we all, myself included, applauded it. But doesn't mean it's new, because it's not. Their Tank Louis skeleton was absolutely brilliant, maybe a little bit too big in my opinion, but one of the most incredible executions of a skeleton piece, and executed in such a Cartier fashion, not industrial like AP, not super rich, but understated, which is so hard for a skeleton. An incredible watch, but while it was new, it wasn't original. It wasn't made from scratch. Now, how about the Drive, which is regarded widely, particularly the ultra slim model, as one of the best Cartiers of the last 20 years. This is a great watch that was, in my opinion, quite possibly the first traditional Cartier sports watch, or at least as sporty as a traditional Cartier could possibly get. I absolutely love this watch, and while, again, maybe not perfect, it was truly original. Like I said before, this was actually conceived from scratch. not just an improvement of a watch from the past. Now, to be clear, I have no problem with reissues. I am so happy and grateful that brands like Longines have been able to revive their collection and identity by looking into their past. But for a premium manufacturer like Cartier, the reissue road is one that should be walked with extreme caution. Cartier isn't Longines. They don't claim to be, and their prices certainly aren't entry level. So their burden to deliver is greater. Cartier needs to make sure that the world, not just the mass market, but the watch community as well, is well aware why they are who they are. A design powerhouse, a cultural force, an irreplaceable presence. So moving on, you guys know that I don't just criticize brands, I offer solutions. So, and I'm just spitballing here, so I'm gonna make a drink and then break my proposal down to you. It's a couple months too late to do exactly this, but imagine if on January 1st of 2020 or midnight on New Year's Eve or whatever it might have been, right then, while the new year is still being celebrated and all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, completely unexpected, everyone, all the other brands are sleeping, Cartier drops a new watch to ring in the new year, to ring in the 2020s. A watch maybe that looked back to the Art Deco period, a watch that wasn't a reissue, not something that they're taking from their own catalog from the 1920s, but something original, something new, but traditionally Cartier, something that was a demonstration of their continued prowess in design, that Cartier's achievement in the watch industry isn't just a thing of the past, but it's ongoing. So like I said, Art Deco, think about the Art Deco designs, think about the buildings, think about the theaters, think about the New York City mansions that were in the 20s filled with luxurious, opulent, ridiculous, unnecessary Cartier jewelry and watches of the time. There's such a link between that era and this luxurious brand that this would have been a wonderful opportunity to, one, catch everyone off guard and reestablish themselves in the eyes of the watch community as Cartier. Maybe something with a decadent stepped case like this 1930s Rolex, something traditional, but something absolutely never seen before. Now, I know that the mass market wouldn't care. This would be a loss leader. This would mean absolutely nothing to 98% of the Cartier consumers in the world. But Cartier, like all brands, needs to cater in some way to the people that are not just consumers, but the people that are truly passionate about their brand. There are people in the watch community that dedicated great portions of their life to educating others about the Cartier brand. Now, as an example, when they opened up their Bond Street location in England, they did something like this. Now, it was a reissue. They made their Bond Street Crash, really cool watch, and certainly a very specific olive branch to the watch community, not the mass market, right? So Cartier has already demonstrated they're open to showing appreciation and acknowledging the watch community as such an important and integral part of their success year over year. Don't forget, we, the watch community, are the ones that actually control the media coverage of these brands. While most people don't see it, it's our interest that keeps them in the news. So it was that Bond Street olive branch that shows to me that they're okay with this, but the Crash at Bond Street, while very cool, still not innovative. So the ultimate gesture would have been something like this, something just for the geeks. And I am absolutely certain that we would have lined up, miles long, if we could, to even get a glimpse at this type of watch. So why is this so important? Because while we now, the 2020 watch geeks, are still intimately connected to one of the golden ages of Cartier, we still associate and can learn directly from the sources, the people that witnessed the crash, people that were around in the 50s and 60s and 70s when Cartier was absolutely at one of its heights. While we have that connection, future generations won't, because they haven't seen a stitch of true traditional Cartier originality and design in 50 or 60 years. So Cartier, I love you. I love you more than you could ever love me back. And you can serve me on originality and fail to impress me for the next 50 years, and I will still remember you for the incredible run you did have. But why? You know, why not just restore yourself to a level of glory? Why not, when the collectors of your brand, the people that have dedicated portions of their lives to being educated in it, why, when they open their mouths regarding the current state of the collections, why would you want them to not speak positively? Why would you want them to have to measure their words so to not offend? Don't you want to be praised? I think you do, and you certainly should. So yeah, that's it. Nothing wrong with a reissue. This is a reissue, and I absolutely love it. But you got to be original a little bit. Call me up if you need a little bit of help. I hate saying that, but it's true. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you shared my passion for the brand and have any opinion on my opinion, please comment down below. If you love watches, like this video and subscribe to our channel at Theo and Harris. That's it. Stay tuned.